Hello. In this video, I want to look on a different type of shadows that help us to create better compositing. So it's make sure our object fit properly and all this stuff. If we, in some compositing, for example, if we have it maybe like half body, we don't need to worry too much about shadows in the ground. We're kind of cutting off, then we need to worry something about color matching. But in this case, if you want to create full model staying on the ground, then we need to worry about the shadows so they match. Because right now you can see the model almost look like a floating in the air. And that's actually important because properly position of the shadows can affect a lot. For example, we take our model and put it up, and we'll just, as first example, we're going to create shadows under her. Okay, and if we just create shadows like right here, it will be look almost like she jumped or floating. So shadows does give us perspective on a z-axis or what's happening, so we know how it is applied. And of course, if we take our model and bring her down to the shadow, now it will look like she casting, or model will casting something to the ground. So it's help us to ground the model. And that's the reason is why important for us to work with some of the shadows. So let's go ahead and look what we have it. Overall, I use it techniques with the soft shadows, soft light, with creating some shadows, and we will use the black and white. I use it sometimes soft shadows also to cast colors, and I will just as mentioning, I'll show you reason why I use it this. But usually my soft shadows, soft light will be used for black and white, and also I'm using multiply mode to cast the colors on this. And multiply mode is much stronger than soft light. Let's look right here example. So we create one multiply mode layer. We'll switch to multiply. Okay, and next we'll go soft light. Okay, and we'll switch this to soft light. Now we'll both take a black brush, and let's go be sure it's 100% opacity. If we look closer and we'll go on a multiply, what's happening is we'll create absolutely black. If we're going soft light, you can see on 100% it does not create absolutely black. It just darken down. So the soft light, it's a little bit nicer, more gentle how it's work, and in some cases you can avoid some mistakes. But soft light give you additional softer kind of shadowing when you create it in this case. And beside this, if you do with soft light, you don't necessarily need to use it black. You can use also white to highlight, and it's usually what we're using. We're using for the dodge and burn techniques, we're using layer on soft light mode with a 50% grade in invisible, and from there black and white we can go either direction. Usually if I use this layer to view, I fill up with the 50% gray, and in this case if we fill up 50% gray and soft light, this is actually layer become in this mode, overlay mode, soft light become invisible. But anytime when I need it, I can look preview how it works. And also it's easy to identify what's on your layer. It doesn't really matter if you fill up with a gray, 50% gray, or you don't fill up. How I say, it's more for the preview or other things. It's only the reason why I'm doing this. But okay, this is about some modes. So let's go right now look what shadows we want to do. And if I look before how we're creating, if you analyze on the shadows, how you have it actually three type of the shadows. And one will be, it is very close to the subject and very hard light going to this. And if we look at an example right here, you can see we have a source on the top which casts light, and in this case we have this harder shadows, and you see we have a softer shadow, and this is can easy determine why it's happening if we have it. Okay, let's go ahead right here. I'll just take a very fast brush and show you. If we take from these corners and we're going this is area from corner to corner here, and we're going straight from this corner directly down. So this kind of showing you position from straight. This is where our hard shadows happening, and if we're going from one area, this is where soft shadows happening. Okay, same things. If we have an increase, of course, size of our light on top, then we'll have it smaller hard shadows, because they need to go to this area. Now you can see how they're going smaller, and our soft shadows is quite a bit increasing. And that's happening when you have the bigger lights and other things, but you almost always will have it. And this is also may call like on the sides or a fallout or from this, and that's what we're trying to do to create it. So if you look on our model, we're going with the sun, so our soft shadows will be a little bit bigger, but it's same because the sun is big far away and it's a highlight like all sky. Our dark almost always will be closer to this. That of course can be changed if you have it overcast or other things. How do we create those shadows? First, of course, we'll take our model and we'll creating under her. One thing I want to re-enable a little bit this gray muted layer, so we can see a little bit easy how the shadows layouts, they don't blend too much. We'll take our brush. Let's go set to about 10% opacity, and I'm working with the mouse. If you work with Vicom, you can set as a pressure sensitive this way. And we want to change, how I said before, it is multiply will have also a color, and that's what we want. We want past the color. We can do color several ways. Usually hold down Alt and click, but because I have it muted color on top, it does not really represent, so we'll just go by the hand. We'll set right there, and let's go call it short. And a short, what we want to do, we want to paint very close. Now let me go at 100%, so we can very fast to preview. And you can see I'm just adding this very hard right here. And it's normal mode, we can see color. Let's switch this to multiply. And in multiply, you definitely can see very much how it's increasing on the coloring, okay? This is about short shadows. One nice thing about the layers, of course, if we have it too much, we can reduce. And remember, we have it muted, so if we remove it, we can actually add a little bit more, like right there. Okay, let's look far away. And you can see right here, we have it already kind of nice, maybe even closer. Again, this is shadows will represent how close the foot's laying on the ground. If we move it out a little bit more, you can see it's almost like jumping out. And of course, if we bring closer, it's become a little bit more sitting on the ground. So this is one shadows. The next, of course, it's a soft shadow. Okay, and we're using for the soft, we can use multiply to cast, but how I say before, soft light will provide for us a little bit nicer, softer in this case. And again, we can say it like 3%, and we can add it. The nice things about also using soft light, it is provide for us kind of easy way to add. We can less make mistakes this way. So this is it, 3 shadows we created, or 2 shadows. So another shadow you can notice right here, her foot does not necessarily matching. What's happening from the ground, the light will absorb, but light also casts back on her shoes. So we can go up front above the model, cast shadow, and let's go just to be sure we're clipping this to a layer below. Switch to multiply mode on this. The reason is multiply, again, we want to also cast the color on this. And we'll go select the color below on multiply mode, and we're going to put it on her shoes. And many times what I want to do, I want to create this edge, the closest one, almost need to be same color as above. So we can almost like going right there. We don't need this strong, but it's just to show you. So we go right there and just have it darker edge. Because if you notice, and it's easy to observe, if you take your foot with shoes and you put it on the ground, take photo, and after you look how the light's going, so you'll notice it's what happening. This is light will kind of Okay, we draw short. Let's soften this out. 10%, it's too much with other ones. And we can kind of start blending. Our goal is to take this edge and blend them together to the ground. So it's almost like indistinguish. Well, of course, it will be different, but general, it's what we want to do. So in this way, we also can cast more because it's cast. And by the way, the casting stuff, I'll show you how to do with the different clothing as we're touching this, because it's part of the shadows will be how we can do on the clothes. So right here, we're creating 3 shadows. We cast shadows, soft and hard shadows. So this way we can adjust the object so it's look like she actually staying on the ground or model belong. Next, we also have the projected shadows. This is optional. You not always will do, but what does it mean with projecting? It's person here, and if it's light going from right to left, and for example, right here, it's hard to say where it's light come, but let's go on her forehead. We see lights coming from this, same as right here on a ship. So our direction of the light is going this direction, will go. Then we want to have it pure projection as well. And it's actually a bit confusing because if we look on the rocks, the lights go this way. Yeah, let's go follow with the rocks. This is maybe lights from explosion or whatever. So we want to take this light and add directional shadows. Because in this current situation, you don't necessarily need it, but yeah, let's do it. So the directional is very easy. We just have it model, Control Command click, so you can see we select model out. Let's create a new layer. Okay, we don't need this one anymore. And we call directional. So it will be our directional shadow. Till it's created, we want to fill up. And at best, of course, to fill up, we can take some color, like maybe right here in the shadow of the rocks. Okay, and let's fill up with this color. Next, we want to take this and convert to multiply mode. So this is already helping us. We'll need to take this shadow and, of course, put it behind the model because it's won't cast on her, it's cast under. Next, of course, it's an edit, transform, and we can go to distort, or you can pop it, whatever you like it. But idea of this, just take those and reposition. And the reason why I say distort, because you can see with her feet, it does not necessarily look right. So we can try to actually, we can flip in here, we can readjust. With puppet tools, kind of nice because you can set your points and just let the points going, like right there. And one thing about shadows, if you notice, they a little bit thinner at the beginning and they spread a little bit more out. So this is our one directional shadow. So of course it does not look like shadow, it's all solid. With the directional shadows, we need to modify a couple things. One is opacity is changing as it's going up, so it's become lighter as it's going, and sharpness is changed as well because projection from here will spread and less sharpness. So the sharpness we can do with the filter. We'll go on a blur gallery and we'll select tilt and shift. Tilt and shift allowed us to change gradient type, kind of like almost gradient on our blur, so we can change on distance. For example, right here was at center, it's a sharp, and we're putting right closer. And as we're expanding, you can see our sharpness, and this is less with 100% blur what we applied. So if we do apply it, you can see how right here it's sharp and get blur, 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 and more. So this is, I found from experimenting, this is look more realistic how shadow works. So we'll go apply this way. Next, let's work with a little bit on the gradients. And the gradient, will work with masking. So let's give it a second till its blur is applied. Okay, so right here, blur applied. We can add, let's go right here. We'll add mask to this. And on this, we'll go to select gradient tool, black and white. And you can see how it's already applied. Okay, oops, opposite one. So we want opposite from 100%. Let's go from here, maybe. There you go. And you can see how it starts dissipating. So we applied our effect. Of course, if it's too strong at the beginning, we always can go and just to set opacity. Personally, I don't necessarily like how sharp sometimes on beginning. In some case you may, but in some case you maybe also want just add additional just normal Gaussian blur. So it just help a little bit remove all sharpness from this area. And there you go. Now we have it our directional. You can create directional in different areas, but overall right here we created our directional shadows. So far we have it soft, short, we have it cast shadows, we have it directional shadows. As I spoke before about soft light and other things, and we mentioned a little bit on the reflector on her, let's look also how we can improve a little bit with reflection. It's not necessarily shadows, it's more will be as a color casting, but because it does modify how the model look or modify some of this effect, so I'll want to show you this as well. And usually in this case, for example, she have a very reflective silver stuff. So I will take background, duplicated background. Okay, we'll go on the top above, and let's go, because we want a little bit different, we'll go to let's go edit, transform, flip horizontally, so just look a little bit different. We want to clip it this to our model. You can see right here as we clip it, and let's adjust, because right here fog is smoke behind her, so I'm just going to drag maybe right here, maybe even just a scale more, so we just have it only like a planet right there. Let's go stretch more this way, or like right there. So it's kind of almost like rocks what we have it. And next we want to switch this to soft light. Okay, we're going ahead and let's go click from normal, switch to soft light. You can see we casting on her color of the environment. So in this what we wanted. If we also, it's worked very well on reflective, because you can see right here as her reflective. We don't want to do 100%. We also could apply some distortion to her if we're doing with displacement map, but many times you won't see that much different. I don't find. What we want to do is go filter, blur, Gaussian blur. We want to apply a little bit Gaussian blur on this because it will be reflective. Click OK. So just a little bit blur up, not too sharp. And of course, next we want to create now mask over her. Go right here, hold down and click Alt. So it's a hiding. We'll take our brush. Be sure brush set about 10%. We don't need very hard, or 9% will work. White color, soft brush. We want to be sure it's a soft round. And then we can start painting in areas, because remember, there won't be reflection on the top, but like right here will be reflecting a little bit closer to the feet. So we can start painting some of these elements where you think it's will reflecting or color casting a little bit at her. That way we can create even more realistic look with her plus colors. So this is one way. And as we speak about soft light, of course you can use it additional soft light as color cast. Okay, let's attach to her, switch to soft light, and then we can also select some coloring from about, like from here, and add casting on her. You can create, for as example, why it's worked very well, like maybe even explosion orange or whatever. Notice what's happening when I cast on her. You have this color cast, very gentle, going around. So we'll just select different colors and we'll just do color casting around going this area. For example, if we gone and we add like flash to the for example, if the gun was going off and gun, for example, just to make it different, let's go say it's a blue light. Okay, so it's something going from here. For example, if a gun have shoot some blue beam or whatever going like right there maybe. Well, I won't do too much. I'm just saying right here, for example, if the gun shot blue beam, we can always go to color cast, 10% opacity, and now from this light we of course we can cast back like on her, a little bit on the face, so that we can see the color casting from the gun. So this is kind of help us to effect with the lighting, how it will work and how it will work that way. Okay, let me remove this gun because we don't need that one. Again, it was just as example on the on the lighting. Undo all that stuff. Okay. So right here we look on some of the shadowing. Okay. And let's see what we have. So this is before. Okay, we can enable muted colors a little bit, so we can preview what we applied, and you can see we applied the soft cast shadows, directional shadows. We have it harder shadows, softer shadow. We also apply shadow on the model itself. Let's go disable that one. So this is what we added. So we add all of the shadows to make sure that our model is kind of fit properly. It is require a little bit more work than just create one single shadow, but overall I think it's worked very well in the end, because you can see you have before and that we have it after. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it gives you a little bit more understanding of the shadows, compositing, how at least I am using them. And it's also the difference between soft mode and a multiply overlay mode, whatever you think it's appropriately. In short words, I use multiply when I need stronger shadows, and usually I'm using with a color casting, and I'm using dodge and burn or soft lights mostly when I need to apply color neutral, black and white or gray, and softer shadows in some cases. And again, notice this, that I used also soft light for the color overlay as well if needed. That is environment, like for example on the pants, on other clothes, and so on. So you can combine with this. I do recommend for you to use it multiple layers, maybe just a touch a little bit. Don't try to do everything in single layer, because when you need to modify something, it's much harder to do on a single layer because you may overlay with someone else. Instead, this, like for example right here, if I don't want reflections or whatever, I have a specific layer for this. If I don't want the cast shadows on her, it's on a different layer, and so on. Same with the casting, with the hard shadows and soft shadows. You can see how they're easy to manipulate in each layer. So it's my suggestion just to split on different layers and work with small steps. Thank you for watching these videos. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe on YouTube, click on this notification button. It's let you know when new video is come out. And your support is greatly appreciated, and especially people who supporting me on Patreon. Thank you for all your help.